Good morning, Yusuf.
Good morning, teacher.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yusuf, I wanted to tell you about the persuasive essay. You didn't send it.
Persuasive essay.
Why aren't you in the group? You don't have a phone number for your.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have my phone number?
No. I'll go take it from my mom right now. We don't have a session today.
It was due 2 days ago.
Oh,
Morning, Rama. Please
today's Friday.
contact me today so that I could send you the prompt, okay? And I could add you to the group.
Okay.
Because there are many things that I sent to the group, okay?
Okay.
Okay, great.
Teacher, I noticed there is no quizzes today.
There are no quizzes, exactly, since it's the first week. We haven't taken
Okay.
much material yet. But next week, you guys, okay, when everybody join, I'll also tell them, you guys will also have an SAT small test every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning, Noura. Okay, 1 minute, and I'll share the screen. Are you still in Dubai, Yusuf?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, Rama. Okay. I think we need to start. This is a new sample test I'm using. It's sample test number 10, and we're going to start with the reading part. As you know, the reading part is 65 minutes and 52 questions. So for every question, you have one and a fraction of a minute. Okay, we always notice that the first passage you get in an SAT is usually what? Every first passage we have taken so far in a test is usually a what? Can anyone answer?
Teacher, can you explain the question?
Yes.
Novel.
This is a different sample test. It's a new sample test, but you notice every sample test, the first passage, the first excerpt we take is usually a what? In the reading. We always begin with the reading comprehension. What's the first passage usually, always? What kind of a,
Wait,
what kind,
I'm not understanding the
you
question.
don't. Okay, what type of text is it? Every time. The first text in reading, what type of text is it?
A novel.
Novel, thank you. It's an excerpt from a novel, from a story, very famous story. Okay, let me begin. Now, I'll read the first paragraph and you guys will take turn. Questions 1 to 10 are based on the following passage. This passage is adapted from Mary Helen Stefaniak, The Caliphs of Baghdad, Georgia, a novel, which was published in 2010. Miss Grace Spivey arrived in Three Step, Georgia in August 1938. Where is Georgia?
The one in Europe or the state in the
No,
United States?
it's a state in the United States.
Okay.
Okay, so the setting of this story is 1938 USA, South USA. Okay, she stepped off the train wearing a pair of thick-soled boots suitable for hiking, a navy blue dress, and a little white tam that rode the waves of her red hair at a gravity-defying angle. August was a hellish month to step off the train in Georgia. What do they mean by hellish month?
Hard,
Okay, in August. So hard in which way? It's a hellish month in Georgia, August.
as in the temperature was hot.
Yes, it's very hot in South US. Okay. Although it was nothing, she said, compared to the 119 degrees that greeted her when she arrived one time in Timbuktu, which she assured us was a real place in Africa. So, what do we already know about Miss Spick?
She travels a lot.
Yes, she travels a lot. Okay. I believe her remark irritated some of the people gathered to welcome her on the burned grass alongside the tracks. When folks are sweating through their shorts, they don't like to hear that this is nothing compared to someplace else. Irritated or not, the majority of those present were inclined to see the arrival of the new school teacher in a positive light. Hard times were still upon us in 1938, but like my mama said, we weren't no poorer than we'd ever been, and the citizens of Three Step were in the mood for a little excitement. So again, what's the setting of the story? Rama, can you tell us the setting of the story?
Teacher, she can't hear you.
Okay. Noura, can you tell us the setting of the story? Where does it take place? Okay, so Yusuf, the setting of the story again, meaning time and place.
Georgia, August 1938.
Okay, do you know anything about the late 1930s in the US? What was
Isn't
happening?
that around the time of the World War?
Yes, it was around the time of.
That's around the time of the World War.
Mhm. And particularly in the United States, these were very hard time. It is called the Great Depression. The country was suffering gravely from economic issues around the late 1930s. Okay, let's move on to the second part. Miss Spivey, just let me modify this. Okay, Yusuf, would you please read? Miss Grace Spivey, paragraph 2.
Paragraph, line 21, right?
No,
Oh,
let me just
no one.
show you where we are here. Miss Spivey.
Wait.
At the arrow.
I can't see your arrow, teacher.
Okay, it's.
Okay, I found it. Okay. Miss Grace Spivey arrived in Three Step, Georgia in August 1938.
Oh, okay.
She stepped off the
No, no,
train.
sorry, Miss Spivey looked. It's line 21. Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Mrs. Spivey looked like just the right person to give it to them. She was by almost everyone's standards a woman of the world. She'd gone to boarding schools since she was 6 years old. She studied French in Paris and drama in London. And during what she called a fruitful intermission in her formal education, she had traveled extensively in the
Okay.
in the in the Near East and Africa with a friend of her grandmother's, one Janet Miller, who was a medical doctor from Nashville, Tennessee. After her travels with Dr. Miller, Miss Spivey continued her education by attending Barnard College in New York City. She told us all that at school the first day, when my little brother Ralphwood asked what she did study at Barnard College, Miss Spivey explained that Barnard which she wrote on the blackboard, was the sister school of Columbia University, of which she expected we all had heard.
Okay, what can you already tell about the people she's teaching, the kind of school she's teaching in?
Here,
Rama, can you answer, please? Okay, for those of you who just joined, Miss Spivey is a school teacher. She's very cultured. She's been around the world, to Africa, to Asia, to Europe, and she is now teaching at at a place called Three Step, Georgia, which is in South US. What we know about that from the story, what is implied is that it's a very poor place. Okay, Mirna, would you please continue line 39?
It was there, she told us, in the midst of trying to find her true mission in life, that she wandered one afternoon into a lecture by the famous John Dewey, who was talking about his famous book, Democracy and Education. Professor Dewey was in his 70s, and then Miss Pivy said, but he still liked to chat with students after a lecture, especially female students, she added, sometimes over coffee, and see in their eyes the fire his words could kindle. It was after this lecture and subsequent coffee that Miss Pivy had marched to the Teachers College and
Okay, signed up. It's line 50.
signed up off them. 2 years later, she told a cheery blue-suited woman from the WPA that she wanted to bring democracy and education to the poorest, darkest, most remote and forgotten corner of America.
Okay, so Mirna, according to this
Continue.
paragraph, no, it's okay. According to this paragraph, Mirna, who was Miss Spivey inspired by? Who was she inspired by? What was his name? Who was the famous person she mentioned in the paragraph?
John Dewey.
Yes, okay, who talks about democracy and education. And she tells us how he liked to chat with his students, especially the female students, after the lecture. Okay, they sent her to Three Step, Georgia. So this group of people that she was educated by, they sent her to Three Step, Georgia. Miss Spivey paused there for questions, avoiding my brother Ralford's eye. What we really wanted to know about all 26 of us across 7 grade levels in the one room was the pearly white button hanging on a string in front of the blackboard behind the teacher's desk up front. That button on a string was something new. When Mavis Davis, the only bona fide 7th grader at age 13, asked what it was for, Miss Spivey gave the string a tug, and to our astonishment, the whole world, or at least a wrinkled map of it, unfolded before her eyes. Okay, so what was this object behind her? This button on a string, what was it? Fatima? Okay, guys, I'm going to send this information to the group. But your SAT grade will be divided along the following lines. 1/4 of your grade will be for participation and attendance, and the other 3/4 will be for the quizzes. Okay, so I hope you tell your peers to participate, and I'm going to send it to the group. I cannot know that you didn't just log in and go to sleep if you're not answering my questions. So Fatima, Noura, Rama, I want to hear you speak, or else you have 0 attendance for today. Okay, you guys are going to tell me the microphone. I'm sure you have more than one device at home. You can log in from your mom's phone. You can log in from a different tablet, from a different computer. I know you can do that. Just log in from any phone and it will be fine. Instead of just sitting there, you know, idly doing nothing. Okay, let's continue. So what grade level was she teaching, Mirna? What grade level was Miss Spivey teaching? Yusuf, can you answer that question, please?
Yes, 7th graders.
7th graders. And what was implied from the passage about those 7th graders? Were they all like brilliant students or what? Notice here what you read in lines 63 to 65. Okay, so they said Mavis Davis, the only bona fide 7th grader at age 13. So the only one who is at grade level. So what can you tell about this group of 7th graders? Not exactly high achievers. Okay, and they were all older than, most of them were older than their grade level. Okay. Her predecessor.
They're not.
Yes, Yusuf?
Okay, do you want me to read?
Yes, her predecessor.
Okay. Her predecessor, Miss Chandler, had never once made use of that map, which was older than our father's, and until that moment, not a one of us knew it was there.
Mhm.
Miss Spivey showed us on the map how she and Dr. Janet Miller had sailed across the Atlantic Ocean and past the Rock of Gibraltar into the Mediterranean Sea,
Okay.
using the sand of the end of the ruler.
Yes.
What do you want me to do now?
Yes, she gently tapped such places.
Oh, you want to continue? Okay. She gently tapped such places as Morocco and Tunis and Algiers to mark the route along the top of Africa. They spent 20 hours on the train to Baghdad, she said, swathed in veils against the sand that crept in every crack and crevice.
Okay. So again, Rama, I hope you can hear me now. What can you tell about Miss Spivey? Noura? Okay, we know that she's cultured. She has been around the world. Okay. Now, line 80. And can you guess what we saw from the train? Miss Spivey asked. We could not. Camels, she said. We saw a whole caravan of camels. She looked around the room, waiting for us to be amazed and delighted at the thought. We all hung there for a minute, thinking hard until Miss Mavis spoke up. She means like the 3 kings rode to Bethlehem, Mavis said, and she unfolded her hands smugly on her 7th grade desk in the back of the room. Okay, first of all, what do you notice she was doing here? This all happened in the first day. What was she doing? She was telling all this to the class. What do you think of her personality? Telling them about all her travels, where she's been. Don't you think she's bragging a little?
I mean,
Okay, she was bragging. Okay, did most of them know what camels are?
No.
No. Okay, and then this guy said she means like 3 kings rode to Bethlehem. Okay, what the 3 kings rode to Bethlehem. Okay. Line 91, Miss Pivy made a mistake right then. Instead of beaming up Mavis, the kind of congratulatory smile and that old Miss Chandler would have bestowed on her for having enlightened the rest of us, Miss Pivy simply said, "That's right." Okay, now let's move on to the next part of the passage. Okay. Okay, question number one. Question number one, Yusuf.
The narrator of the passage can be best described as enlightened the rest of us. A.
Yes, one of Miss Pivy's former student. He's recalling, he's telling us about her. Okay. Number two, in the passage, 3-step is mainly presented as a, what is it? Rama, are you there? Mirna, number two. Mirna?
Yes, miss, I'm just trying to.
Okay, no problem. Is it
Is it C?
okay? First of all, we know it's not like a summer retreat for vacationers. We know differently. Small rural town. What does that mean? Small rural town. What does rural mean?
It's not abandoned, it's
Is it the city? Is it rural means the countryside. It's a small rural town. We already know that about 3-step. Yes. It's not a town that is home to a prominent university. In fact, it's a poor area. And Miss Pivy was sent there to help out those students. Is it a comfortable suburb? No, we already know the author implied that it was a poor place. So we know that it is B, a small rural town. What's the opposite of rural? You guys should know this. Rural. Okay.
the rural is the countryside, then city? No,
Yes.
suburbs.
Or the urban. Urban. Okay.
Or urban.
Urban area like Beirut, like Dubai, New York City. This is urban. Okay. Number three, it can reasonably be inferred from the passage that some of the people at the train station regard Miss Pivy's comments about the Georgia heat with, okay, there they are in Georgia, which is a very poor area in the US at that time. And she's complaining about, she said, this is nothing compared to Timbuktu. How did they view her when she said that?
Resentment or irritated. So D.
D, because they
Yes.
she is minimizing their discomfort. Exactly, Yusuf. Good. Good. All she has done so far in this passage was brag about where she's been to. Okay. Which choice provides the best evidence? Okay, that would be B. Number five. Number five, Rama. I will go back to the passage, of course, to see the phrase. Rama? Okay. I'm gonna call out on you now, and if you don't answer me, everyone who doesn't answer is marked absent immediately. Fatima? Noura? Rama? Okay, Mirna, please answer number 5.
Yes, Miss Spivey most likely uses the phrase fruitful intermission to indicate that. Can you come back to that?
I'm going to go back to line 26. Okay. You can take a minute or two to see what she meant. Okay, she said that there was this fruitful intermission. Intermission, we know that it's a break between two things. Intermission in her formal education, she had traveled extensively. So, what do you think that intermission meant? Number 4, number 5.
Is it A?
Yes, it is A. Correct. Okay, let me see. Number 6, Yusuf.
Number 6. The interactions between Miss Piper and Dalford serves mainly to.
Okay, first of all, Ralford is the brother of the narrator.
Mhm.
Okay, he guessed what camels were. In a way, he was the only one who guessed. Okay. But how did she react after he guessed? It's at the last part here.
Spider made a mistake.
Vivi made a mistake right then.
Instead of blaming upon neighbors, the kind of congratulated one that all my family bestowed on her for having life in the Scotland. Right. Okay. Okay. Let's see.
So she expected too much of them.
Oh, A.
A, yes, exactly. She should have cheered more when he knew what camels were. Okay, that's what the narrator said. She made a mistake that she did not cheer him much. Okay, number 7, in the third paragraph, what is the narrator most likely suggesting by describing Miss Pivy as having wandered, line 40, in one situation and marched in another situation? Let's go back to lines 40 and 49. Yusuf, you can answer this, please. I'll give you time to read the part.
What's that? She told us.
Okay, so here she wandered, she went into the class maybe by mistake. But how about here? She marched.
So, the first time she went there by mistake, but then the next time she signed up kind of for his classes or lectures.
Yes, exactly. Let's see what choice that would be.
Teacher, I can't see the entirety of answer D. Can you just scroll down a bit?
Yeah.
So D.
D, exactly. Good job. D. Okay, number 8. According to the passage, Miss Bibby ended up in 3-step as a direct result of. Okay, she said they sent me. Who sent her? She attended something. Who sent her, Yusuf? Since you're the only one actively participating with Mirna.
Okay.
After that, Mirna will answer.
According to the wait, teacher, what number?
Number 8.
Okay, number 8. According to the passage, Miss Piggy ended up in the 3-step as a
Okay, she
direct result
said to
of.
this person,
Okay.
a certain person inspired her to
Go to Georgia. Okay, according to the passage.
while in New York, she talked to this person, okay, who inspired her, and then she was sent to Georgia.
C.
C, yes, exactly. It's C. Okay, Mirna, would you please answer number 9?
Yeah. In the passage, when Miss Spivey announces that she had seen camels, the students' reaction suggests that they are.
Okay, let me go back to that passage. Were they delighted or fascinated or baffled? You know, they didn't know what to do or worried. Let's go to that part. Here. Okay, were they delighted or amazed?
No.
No, okay. But she expected that. Didn't she expect them to be delighted or amazed?
Yeah.
Instead, how did they feel? Definitely not delighted, definitely not fascinated. How did they feel?
C, maybe.
Baffled. They didn't know how to react. And there's this
Mm.
woman bragging about everything that she's done, and they didn't really care. They're just baffled. And most of them didn't even know what a camel was. Number 10, how do we know that answer? It is choice B. Okay. Let me move on to the second passage. Okay, questions 11 and 21. Okay, this is no longer a narrative passage. It's no longer a narrative passage. It's a different type. Questions 11 and 21 are based on the following passage and supplementary material. This passage is adapted from Davis Owen, The Conundrum, How Scientific Innovation, Increased Efficiency, and Good Intentions Can Make Our Energy and Climate Problems Worse. Who can tell me what a conundrum is? Let me just give you an example. Okay, there's this huge scientific innovation that has been taking place for more than 200 years. Every day there's something new. On the other side, our environment is being hurt. So for most people, this is a conundrum. Okay, who can explain to me what a conundrum is?
Confusing or difficult problem or question?
Exactly, good Yusuf. A confusing question. You don't know which side to take. Should we just keep on going with scientific innovation or should we take more care of our environment? Exactly. Yusuf, please read paragraph 1.
Okay. Building good transit isn't a bad idea, but it can actually backfire if the new trains and buses merely clear space on highway lanes for those who would prefer to drive. A group that historically has included almost everyone with access to a car have environmental values that outweigh value. New transit has to replace and eliminate driving on a scale sufficient to cut and elimination of traffic lanes or the conversion of existing roadways into bike or bus lanes. Parking fees and tolls. Needless to say, those ideas are not popular, but they're necessary because you can't make people drive less in the long run by taking steps that make driving more pleasant, economical, and productive.
Okay, so what's a transit? Making transit lanes in a city.
Uh, transit, no, transit.
Okay, for example, transit lanes are lanes especially for buses, trains, or something related to public transportation. No one can pass here except for transit transportation. It's for public transportation. So building this kind of transit isn't a bad idea, but it can actually backfire if the new transit trains and buses merely clear space on highway lanes for those who would prefer to drive. Okay, most cities, most good cities, of course, advanced cities have private lanes or transit lanes. So what happens to the other roads? If buses and trains can only go through this road, what happens to the other roads? According to the author in paragraph 1, Yusuf.
It would, hold on,
They will be cleared up.
I just read it.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes.
So more people would do what? Those who love cars would do what?
Uh, People that love cars would do what?
There will be more cars on the streets. Okay, when you clear the lanes, you give more roads to the cars. Is that a good thing, according to the author? What the author implies?
uh, yes, by taking steps that make driving more pleasant, economical, and productive.
Okay, but there will be more drivers. Is that a good idea for the environment? Because more people will
No,
be encouraged. Of course not. It's not. So there's the conundrum there. Okay, one of the few forces with a proven ability to slow the growth of suburban sprawl has been the ultimately finite tolerance of commuters for long, annoying commutes. What's commuting?
uh,
Okay, people are able to tolerate long commutes more and more every year. What's a commute? Okay,
traveling some distance.
yes, going some distance for what?
Uh,
I, as a
well,
person, when we have school, I have to wake up every day and commute to school.
to
Commuting is,
one's workplace.
yes, going to one's workplace. And the author is suggesting that more and more people are able to tolerate long distances. For example, we know that people come from Saida to work in Tyre or come from Sur to work in Beirut. And in the West, it's even more than that. Why? Because the roads are being made better, more highways are being built. And of course, that's not a good idea because we are increasing pollution. That tolerance has grown in recent decades, and not just in the United States, but it isn't unlimited. And even people who don't seem to mind spending half their day in a car eventually reach a point where finally enough is enough. That means that traffic congestion can have environmental value since it lengthens commuting. Okay, we are going to continue with this next time. Okay, let me just finish up the paragraph. Okay, and even people who don't seem to mind spending half their day in a car eventually reach a point where finally enough is enough. That means that traffic congestion can have environmental value since it lengthens commuting times and by doing so discourages the proliferation of still more energy hungry subdivisions. So what shouldn't be done? Should we build more roads according to the author's point of view? Should we build more roads, more transit?
No, that because that would create more drivers and that would create more environmental damage.
Exactly, Yusuf. Good for you. Okay, so I guess this is all for today. Next time, you guys